So actually, I would start with a question for you both. And it would go the way that I tell you 3 statements, and you can tell me if you think these statements are illegal and on the basis of the DSA, erasable, removable, whatever. So for the first statement, I need a name. Can you give me any name?
I would go with Max. Not on true events, but let's go with it. Sorry for any Max out there.
Yeah. So, for example, dear Max, you're an asshole. Would you say the statement is illegal?
And this is defined then as a max that is, in this case, identifiable.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think so.
Me neither.
Okay. The second statement is the Earth is a disk.
Definitely disinformation, but I would say no, it's not.
I also would not think so, probably.
Okay. And the third one, Adolf Hitler did nothing wrong. He just protected his country.
That would probably be illegal, yeah, especially here in Germany. I think there are special rules for that. But yeah, I would say that is.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. And would you say that that is also erasable under the DSA?
That last one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so, right? Yeah.
Okay. The solution will come at the end of this episode. Since we're talking about content in this episode, the core of the DSA is illegal to combat illegal content, harmful content, and also disinformation to some extent. The European Union did not make the DSA to punish intermediaries and implement duties, but it wants to combat content generated by live users. And until now, it was in a very inefficient way to combat single posts and content. So more efficient way would be to implement a set duties on those intermediaries. So the European Union aims actually at combat of illegal content and not punishing intermediaries. So that's the core of the DSA.
Yeah. But that's one point that I think is interesting, is that you talk about illegal content, and that is something that often we can refer to laws. But when we talk about content moderation in general, there sometimes is content that is not illegal, but can still, by the way it's shown to you, cause risks to users. And of course, as we also talked about before, the large platforms will have the obligation to combat systematic risks. So just a simple example, fitness content is very popular. Healthy lifestyle promotion. We can all argue, at least I hope, that there's nothing wrong with seeing some videos of people that are proud about what they look like and work out a lot and promote a healthy lifestyle. But if I, as a platform, know that you're a 16-year-old that has been watching fitness-related content, and I now start bombarding you with that type of content, this can lead to risks for that individual user that are not, defined as illegal content, but can still cause systematic risk. And under other provisions of the DSA, the Article 34 and 35, talking about systematic risks, they would have to adapt their content moderation practices. So there is already a gray area about what is illegal content, and this becomes even more gray when the content is not illegal, but maybe the way it's shown to you is problematic or causes risks. It's a very difficult question, but I think it's important to keep in this the two dimensions almost of content moderation. Moderation, so what are we moderating, but also what are we recommending and showing you? Yeah.
So in that sense, could you give us examples, or maybe just a reference on what type of content does the DSA tackle?
The DSA has different wordings for different types of content. It mentions harmful information. It mentions illegal content, as already stated. It mentions unlawful information, content whose dissemination entails societal risks, misleading or deceptive content, or intentionally inaccurate or misleading information, meaning disinformation, as you already stated. And as you also said that the disinformation itself may not be illegal, but if it comes to the liability provisions of the DSA or the notice and action mechanism, for example, it refers to illegal content. So this is why illegal content is the wording that we look most into.
Yeah, and this is an honest question for me. Like when we talk about illegal content, like illegal by whom? Like which because I mean, moving to Germany, and maybe you all can also refer to it. Like when I open my Instagram app, and if I want to report something, I saw now a different way of reporting content. For now, it mostly showed the NetzDG, and this was not shown to me when I was in the Netherlands. You know, I now have a different option with stricter clauses for what is considered illegal. Would this be the same under the DSA because they want to have, you know, this unified market? So you would say that if I still have these different sets of rules being applied, that would kind of go in the way. Is this going to be different actually?
So to answer that question, we first have to see if there is a definition of illegal content in the DSA and what the DSA said.
Mm.
And the DSA says in Article 3 and paragraph H that illegal content is information that in itself or in relation to an activity, including the sale of products or the provision of services, is not in compliance with union law or the law of any member state, which is in compliance with union law, irrespective of the precise subject matter or nature of that law. So, illegal, what is illegal? That has to be answered by the law of the union and mainly by the law of the member state. Mm. And each member state has different laws when it comes to free speech also. So now, besides that, the DSA doesn't say anything if it's illegal according to the German law, does it have to be also erased or not made available, this content, in other countries outside of Germany? And that is a problem that has to be decided at the end of the day by the courts. Mm-hmm. But one solution would be to say, okay, if it's illegal by one member state, we just do not make the content available in this member state. Otherwise, we would have the strictest rules on free speech, for example, applied around all of the European Union. And if something is not illegal in Germany, but is illegal in Greece, for example, it's not available in Germany, that would be somehow...
Yeah. So this is not so the DSA does not resolve this. Like they aim to have a European digital market, but there are still going to be different ways that the content is treated, right?
Yes. Concerning under which law it is illegal, we have the problem that does it have to be deleted then also within the other member states?
Yeah.
That is a question that is not clarified. So the answer to just delete it or not made available in the country where it's illegal and in the other countries it's still uploaded and available, that's one solution, but it's
not ideal.
No.
It's not at least what the European Union sets out to do.
Yeah, with the DSA, because the DSA aims actually to unify, harmonize the digital single market. So this is actually a problem or something to discuss. Yeah. So besides that, if we see what is illegal, the content itself can be illegal. It can be illegal with in accordance with some activity. If I set you up, hey, how are you doing? But this is part of online stalking, then it still would be illegal. Even if how are you doing? The phrase itself is not illegal. So yeah, that's a problem. But if we say, okay, it is illegal in some parts at least, then we have the consequence is that the DSA states that there has to be a notice and action mechanism where users can notify the platform, for example, that there is illegal content and that it has to be removed. And this mechanism has to be provided by the online platforms and has to be easy to access. It has to be user-friendly. And and after it supplies this mechanism, users can make a notice. It has to be sufficiently precise, like saying which content it refers to, like through URL, for example. It has to provide all the information why it is illegal. It should generally include the name and the mail address of the person who submits the notification, stuff like that. That's the formal prerequisites. And the mechanism facilitates such submission. And after that, the platform, for example, has a knowledge about illegal content, and then it has to make a timely, diligent, non-arbitrary, and objective decision on whether this content is indeed illegal and remove it or make or continue making it available on the platform. If it knows it is illegal, then the liability provision in Article 6 applies, meaning that if it removes, it's not liable for this content. If it does not remove it, according to Article 6, the platform knows about it, it's liable.
Yeah. So, but if we talk about this question, like what is illegal, it's still very difficult to answer, because the answer to that is, and I think I quote many great scholars, it depends. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, it feels almost a little bit like it's unsatisfactory answer, because you want to have now like this idea of a unified market, and that we can now say, okay, this is illegal, and I think we mentioned it before, like it doesn't introduce new provisions regarding or new rights about what is considered illegal and legal. It rather introduces a toolbox for how to approach these questions and how to assess these risks and how to do these external audits.
Yeah.
So it does not introduce any new requirement on, we're actually going to expand what is considered illegal. It just translates what is offline to online, as they said.
Yes.
And or what was already in the national law.
Yeah, and the European Commission itself said in the question and answers it provided last year that where content is illegal only in a given member state, as a general rule, it should only be removed in the territory where it is legal. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Coming back to the questions in the beginning, for example, you stated that, dear Max was the word. Dear Max or Fay, for example, you're an asshole. Well, that is regarded as an insult in according to the German criminal code, and therefore it would be illegal in Germany. I can imagine that also in other member states, an insult is punishable, for example.
So to this question, we would have to answer. We would have to look into national law in order to answer it.
Yes.
So to people watching now, wanting to have a satisfying answer, sorry, we can't. You have to read into every national law, unfortunately, to see if it's illegal or legal. I mean, there are of course a lot of areas where countries agree on what is illegal, but we're now specifically focusing on forms of speech that are, where you talk about disinformation or hate speech, where the boundaries are maybe have shift between countries a little bit. So this statement, Max, you're an asshole.
Just without context, just like insulting the person. If you just want to disrespect the person, you swear words, then you probably have an insult. And the second statement, the Earth is a disc, for example, at least here in Germany, it's legal. It's disinformation, of course, but it doesn't refer to a specific person or.
Just once, does context matter in these and that is kind of like what I mentioned earlier on. If I say the Earth is flat, in one situation where I just tweet it might not be illegal. But if it is said in a way that the situation is more sensitive, for example, let's say maybe vaccination denialism, so that vaccinations do not work. If I said that before Corona and I just tweeted it out, the context at that moment is very different. Vaccinations are not a hot topic, it's not in debate. But when I say that, and I'm also, for example, a politician, or I'm a person with a lot of influence, and I now say a vaccination does not work, it can pose a systematic risk. So maybe in such cases, content can be considered not illegal, but more, it can pose systematic risks, and therefore a platform should react to it by maybe not removing it, but maybe not promoting it, and maybe taking it down a bit.
Flagging it. Is that a...
Yeah, or what they did with providing extra information. So content moderation is also, of course, not taking it down or leaving it up there, like a lot of like steps in there that you can take.
Yeah, and that's what we mentioned prior. If the content, for example, the statements you just mentioned concerning COVID are not illegal per se, at least here in Germany, what I can say, but are considered disinformation, then we have to look into the provisions that tackle disinformation in the DSA, like the risk assessment. So through that. And the last one we stated was like Adolf Hitler did nothing wrong. He just protected his country. You both were correct. It is illegal. It's an incitement of masses according to Section 130 of the German Criminal Code, Volksverhetzung, and therefore, at least here in Germany, illegal. For example, if that's not illegal in Greece because they do not have an adequate provision for it, then this content should not be made available in Germany, but in Greece it would be available.
So we got one right.
So we cannot say that Marx is an asshole. We cannot say that Hitler did nothing wrong. We can say that the Earth is a flat disk. That is okay. Okay.
We don't recommend that.
Well, no, I mean we're not doing any statements here that hold any meaning. We're just talking about what is legal. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you so much for this insightful talk, and let's talk more about the TSA on the final episode. And see you there.
See you there.
Yeah.